Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Amazing Race Rewind podcast, the podcast where we rewind back in time to watch the earliest seasons of The Amazing Race for the first time. My name is Andrew.
And I'm Jill.
And we are here today to talk about Season 4, Episode 3 of The Amazing Race US. And what did you think of this episode overall?
I liked the tasks. I especially the detour. I liked its use of the history and culture. I just love that every single episode, you can't really predict who's going to come out in front. There are moments when I hate it. There are moments when I was like, oh, I wish we just had a solid pack at the front that would kind of rotate through the top teams. But I also just like never knowing. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Never knowing. Yeah, I agree. And not even knowing who's in the front, not knowing who's in the back. There was a huge blunder here at the end where the whole episode you thought one team was going to be out for sure, and then it kind of got flipped.
I know.
Well, not completely flipped, but the whole thing was not predictable to me,
which is nice. Again, you can see that the producers and showrunners are learning from the previous seasons.
Yes, yeah, but overall I did think this episode was probably the best of the first three we've seen so far.
Yeah,
there were a couple moments that made it stand out a little bit more, but otherwise it did feel to me like very cookie cutter Amazing Race. It felt like very formulaic.
I was literally about to say it was very formulaic.
Yeah.
I agree. It was the better out of what's been done, and it was interesting. I was never bored.
Yeah, it was very standard, very cookie cutter, like we said. Amazing Race. Nothing too outstanding to talk about, nothing horrible to harp on about and throw tomatoes at. But we're here, and we liked the episode.
Yeah, so with that, let's begin our journey in Venezia.
Yeah.
Where teams are throwing stuff at each other.
We open up, yeah, this is crazy. We open up to this Venetian music, which was absolutely killing me. Just the most stereotypical, Italian music you could think of. Starting at the center of the city with teams hooting and hollering at the pit stop, sharing a meal together, having the best time of their lives.
Maybe this is just me, but every time we're given these little insights into the 12 hours of the race before, when Phil does his whole, teams are given a mandatory 12-hour rest period,
yeah.
I always expect them to, start going into true reality TV mode and showing just the gossip or the drama or, something happening. And it's just, I don't know what it is. It's this reflex in me that expects it. And then it never comes. I don't know. That's unrelated, but just...
Yeah. They could probably do, a whole segment each episode on the pit stop since the 12 hours. Since there's probably so much interaction between the teams here. But I guess they only show it if it has a direct impact on the race.
On the race.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Because they're not going to show it just to show it if there's, little petty drama or something. Because, like we said in Season 3 Deep Dive, The Amazing Race is much more classy than that.
I don't even remember. When did we say that in the deep dive?
We did say, the Season 3 Deep Dive was long, but we just said, that The Amazing Race was viewed as, a higher form of art as opposed to other
high art
reality TV.
Yeah, the Season 3 Deep Dive, Andrew, was 2 hours. I don't remember everything we talked about.
Yeah, we got a lot going on in there. So Steve and Dave, who had taken the fast forward the previous episode, are departing at 2:45 a.m. and they're told to travel to Vienna.
Via train, yes. But Dave's knee is still kind of a problem.
Yeah, they're in pain. Quote, we're going to have to do this at a brisk pace. So they have to go to Vienna, 300 miles away.
And the sewers.
And find some historic sewers, Season 1 throwback.
When did we go to a sewer in season? Oh, yes, in Paris.
In Paris.
Yeah, that was the roadblock task, right?
I believe so, yes. So Steve and Dave decide that they need to try and separate themselves from the pack, so they're going to try to go to Padua because they talked to a local...
Padua.
Sorry. Because they talked to a local who said it would be faster to do so.
And we've got a blunder right off the bat, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, you know what? I appreciate this risk-taking from them. They know, okay, their knees aren't going to hold up much longer. They have to try something new. They have to throw whatever they can at the wall and see what sticks here. But, so they do this, and we'll see how that unfolds for them. But they do depart about 2.5 hours-ish before everybody else.
Yeah, they depart at 2:45, and then is it Riken and Chip are next to depart at 5:20 a.m. for both teams?
Yes, yeah. Riken and Chip are departing at 5:20 a.m., and they say that they don't want to come across arrogant, although they think they're going to win. Okay, Kelly and John at 5:21. Kelly says, just a minute after Riken and Chip, Kelly says, you know what? She's actually going to do it for herself now. she wants to contribute more than 2% to the team.
She's in it for 50%. She wants to do more of the tasks, be more of a team, because she's saying because marriage is going to be 50-50.
Yeah. I felt, and this is kind of her whole character of she's just kind of like being the snarky one, making comments at the back, who's just saying she wants to contribute more and that John is doing anything. Like, I really don't have an impression of John. Like, I feel like Kelly and John is just Kelly right now.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
As far as characters. Yeah. Okay.
But you know what? It works for them. She's a great character.
Yeah. Tian and Cherie at 5:22 a.m.
They're already out of breath. Like, they're already like, this is too much already.
They're out of sorts. Quote, holy crapola. And Cherie is rehashing this again, saying that, quote, Tian blames everything on me. David and Jeff leaving at 5:23 a.m. A minute after Tian and Cherie. These teams, they all left very close. Yeah.
Yeah.
So really the magic of editing from the last episode made it seem like the roadblock was a lot harder, or it took teams longer to do the roadblock than it really was. Because, like, they must have just gone in there and came out immediately.
Editing is magic, y'all.
Yeah. David and Jeff say their strategy has evolved, and their strategy is to not get eliminated.
Yeah. To be fair, I still don't really have an impression of them. So I would say this is the first thing they've said that maybe made some sort of impact or stood out a little bit to me, but like,
yeah.
Not a ton.
Well, the only other thing they had going for them was their alliance with Raikkonen and Chip.
Of course, yes, of course. Yes. But even then, to me, Raikkonen and Chip have made themselves stand out.
They've been the more dominating characters.
Yeah. These two guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
Take them or leave them right now.
Yeah, really the Walmart twins, Drew and Derek.
Derek and Drew.
Derek and Drew. John and Al leaving a minute afterward at 5:24 a.m. Russell and Cindy a minute after John and Al, 5:25 a.m. And Cindy is questioning her relationship.
I'll be honest, they're another team I don't have a strong impression of. Here's the thing. It's because every time I hear their name, I don't even process what's on screen. I just go, Russell and Cindy. It's almost like Cindy and Russell. Like, I just start thinking that in my head, and then I lose whatever happened, and I'm on to the next team.
They're also a team that's just really been boiled down to them just having relationship issues and Cindy feeling uneasy with Russell.
I think that's the thing, is there's too much of that this season. There's too much of the couples considering whether this is a good partnership or a good team, or
there is a lot of that.
Because it's even like, Millie and Chuck, Kelly and John, Amanda and Chris. These, like, there's too much of that. And again, these are all couples who don't have strong defining characteristics outside of that, so they all just kind of get mushed together.
Yeah, very much so. That's a good point. Okay, speaking of, Millie and Chuck are the next to depart, 5:26 a.m. Steve and Josh, 5:27 a.m. And it's just really a lot of rehashing of things that have already been said in past episodes. Nothing really new here. Monica and Cherie, last ones to depart, 5:31 a.m. and say, it's not over until it's over.
And you know what? Good for them.
Yeah. So teams arrive at the train station and they say they're not going to wait 10 hours for a train to leave because that's what they were told, I suppose. So we see Raikkonen and Chip, David and Jeff, they get on the same kind of train path. They're going to do Verona to Innsbruck, Innsbruck to Vienna. And we go over to Millie, who has an asthma attack in the train station.
As they're running for this train, and then is it John and Al or the surfer guys who are there?
It's John and Al.
John and Al, also very team play. Not even team player, like good sportsmen. They like stay with her and Chuck kind of to make sure she's okay. She takes this so well. Like I feel like we've seen a lot of characteristics in terms of the like panic situation on this show. Even though she's going through a full asthma attack, she's still very put together. And whether that's stress or anxiety or just the adrenaline of dealing with it, she comes down from it. She's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. And, this isn't going to be the last time she pulls out her inhaler to try and relieve herself from her asthma attack. Quote, I just couldn't breathe.
And I will say, though, like, as much as I admire...
That's asthma 101.
As much as I admire her as a character and, like, as a contestant on the show, I hate watching her asthma attacks because every time one comes up, I just start feeling those symptoms in myself. And I'm like... I think of, like, if that was me, I would not have... I think that's why the way she handled it, I was so impressed, because it's like, that would not have been me. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's inspiring. She has asthma, but she's doing it. She's doing it. She'll have her inhaler in hand and she'll be A-okay. So to all you people out there who may be asthmatics, you can do this. You can do whatever you set your mind to. Look at Millie. She's on The Amazing Race with her asthma.
Soundbite.
So you know what? Get out there.
All you people who think you may be asthmatics, you can do this. That is golden.
Yeah, you can. Just you do it. Yeah. Okay, watch Millie on this season.
Anyway.
Chip and Raken talk about having a relationship with Monica and Cherie, and we go over to Tian and Jeree.
Who are not sitting together. And, quote, do me a favor, shut up.
Yeah, another quote, I'm sick of being behind. You can't keep up. To me, they kind of give the impression that they don't really know each other very well. Like, they don't seem to be that close of friends. Like, their dynamic seems to be, like, coworkers or some, like, acquaintances who, like, just decided to apply for the show on a whim. Like, without being, like, I don't get the impression they're lifelong friends.
Oh, definitely not. Well, but they're both models or something, so maybe they met through work, but I would be interested to know how deep their background goes. And I guess that's something for the deep dive. I don't want to risk Googling it now, so.
Yeah, I agree. So Steve and Dave arrive in Padua and realize that they've hooped themselves. It's over.
They've hooped themselves?
Yeah. So they decide they're going to wait. They have to wait for a train that arrives 2 hours after the first.
So instantly that fast forward is kind of turned around on them.
And at this point, they're racing from behind. Okay, so on train 2 is John and Al, who had waited for Millie and Chuck, which is why they're on the second train, as well as Russell and Cindy. All right, so we get to Vienna, and we learn that the hours of operation for the sewers are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
I will say this was kind of one of the only points where I was a little bit, not ticked off, just a little, I understand what they're trying to do. This isn't as they're trying to equalize the playing field as much as possible by giving a lot of opportunity, a lot of these muster points. But I just thought, at this point, like, just one thing where there wasn't, like, an hours of operation thing. And again, that they can't really plan that because it's, they don't know when the teams are going to be starting the race and when they're going to be arriving. But it just felt more intentional. But, like, okay, guys, you're overdoing it. We don't need all of these muster points.
Well, and it's, like, also hours of operation for a sewer, really? It's, like, I don't think this is a tourist attraction that requires, like, employees in a company who's owning this. I think, like, if you're going to do it, you have to hire people for it anyway.
Exactly. But you know what? We won't harp on this a lot longer. I will just say this. Yeah, this was a moment where I was like, okay, this is being overdone now. Like, let's have some segregation of the teams into, like, the front pack, the back of the pack type thing.
But I will say, good for Steve and Dave.
Great for Steve and Dave.
Because if this hadn't been here, they probably would have been long gone. And we wouldn't even have an episode at all.
Mm-hmm. And nothing, like the sewers, nothing happens. It's just a route marker. They go and get their clue. But they are brought to is it a roadblock, really? It's not even a roadblock.
Wait, what are we talking about? The
fiacres.
Oh, no, I think it's just like the route marker.
Which is, so basically these sewers, they get their clue, and then it tells them that they have to go to find these fiacres, which are traditional horse-drawn carriages, and they have to direct the driver. But the thing is, these carriages, there's only 3 or 4, and they leave every 30 minutes, and it's a whole thing about how to get the clue. But this isn't a task itself. It's just this isn't a task at all. It's just a piece of route information. But that being said, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. Okay, before we fully discuss what happens there, I just have a couple quotes here. Tian and Jeree say, quote, "My opinion in this race is to be first everywhere. That way, you get an advantage." I'm like, girl, really? You don't say. This is like groundbreaking strategy here from them. Steve and Dave, quote, "We can't keep up with these rabbits." All right. So the thing is with these, how do you say this? What is it? What even is this? Like a fiacre? Like these horse-drawn carriage things?
I think it's fiacre.
Yeah, I've never heard of this word before.
I'm just going to double check.
So they're pretty much horse-drawn carriages. And so they depart in groups of 3 or 4. So like 3 teams or 4 teams can depart every 30 minutes. So it's a big deal to get on these horse-drawn carriages.
And it's a physical fight because the way it works is there's a clue or a piece of paper or a map or something kind of hanging off the side of the carriage. So even if you get into the carriage, as the route info states, if you do not grab that map or clue and claim it, then you don't get that carriage. And this causes a lot of a debate, shall we say.
Yes. So, okay, first, Riken and Chip, they're just sitting on the carriage, and I don't know who took it from them. Oh, Tian and Jeree were the ones who took it from them. I think, yeah, Tian and Jeree were the ones who took the thing, and Riken and Chip didn't realize that you had to take it. So blunder central from them.
And it gets very Robin Brennan. They're breaking out the clues. They're highlighting sections. Like, see, you must claim that, like, very lawyered up. But ultimately, teams are, after that first round, they're pretty good sports about it. It's like, hey, whatever, that's what the clue says.
Yeah. Tian and Jeree say, quote, you guys have to get out. You're supposed to take it off. And I don't know who said this, but somebody said this too. Tian and Jeree said, quote, you guys are going to self-destruct today. I think it was Kelly.
It was Kelly or Millie. It sounds more like Kelly.
So the first round of teams depart, and so it says in the clue, as soon as you see the horses approaching, you can run and go grab the clue that's dangling. Millie just says she's going to run. So Riken and Chip and Steve and Jeff devise this plan that Steve and Jeff are going to distract the other teams somehow, while Riken and Chip claims 2 tickets for both teams. And this is a faulty plan from the beginning. I don't know how they thought this was going to work.
Why would you enter into this? It's so stupid. You're not benefiting any more from partaking in this plan than you would just going about the task normally.
The teams are watching. They see the horses, and they're off. They're sprinting down the streets of Vienna at the sight of a hoof. And, okay, Riken and Chip grab one for themselves. They weren't able to get a second one for Dave and Jeff. So they ended up screwing Dave and Jeff and ruined their alliance in the process. Millie and Chip have a little altercation here.
Yeah. Millie, basically, she gets into the carriage, but I guess this pops up a little later. She didn't realize, but he grabbed her, kind of, and she swung back. Like, he grabbed her from behind. I guess she, like, kind of raised her arm or elbow, whatever. And there's a cutscene of her where she goes, I cut his mouth, and just kind of laughs under her breath. But yeah, she was fighting for it.
Yeah, physical contact was happening on this episode. So yeah, that was a fun scene. I think the highlight of the season so far was Millie versus Chip at the fiacres. I cut his mouth.
Oh yeah, because she also just goes, "What a jerk!"
Yeah,
after, because she's sitting in it, but I think he gets the clue, right?
Yeah, I think he gets it, but she ends up getting a different one anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, and I think in this round, it's something like Riken and Chip, Millie and Chuck, and maybe John and Al, but Steve and Jeff do not get it this round. So that's pretty much all there is to do with that.
Yes, and the fiacres take them to the detour, which I personally loved. It was Mozart or Beethoven, and right away, I don't even know what's happening in the task, but it ended up being a little more underwhelming from the music standpoint. But I'm thinking, Andrew and I, music, we've got this.
I thought it was going to be something musically inclined.
I know.
I
wish
it was going to be a little bit more skill based, rather than let's just carry
a double bass
musical objects across the streets. It's like, really, guy. Like I was really expecting more out of this, but you know what? It was fine. It
was a good interaction of, I'd say, culture within the city, because it's getting them to ask locals for directions, seeing landmarks, kind of utilizing these points of tourism that aren't the main attractions within a city. But yeah, so I forget which is which, but basically in one of them you have a massive, it was a double bass that you have to carry a shorter distance, I think, like a slightly shorter distance, and the house you have to bring it to is easier to find, but the trick is obviously it's a heavier object. And then the other option is you just have to take some sheet music to, I think, was Mozart the sheet music one or Beethoven?
Beethoven was
the sheet music one, and you have to take it to the house where Beethoven wrote it. So you're carrying a lighter object, but it's further, and I guess the thing is Beethoven lived in multiple houses, so you might get lost. Instantly, I'm just thinking, we do the double bass one. You played tuba for how many years?
Please.
You're used to lugging those around.
Freaking, yeah, lugging it on the bus. whatever.
We really just would be like, good luck, Andrew, as you would haul that up the stairs through schools.
Yeah, it was a horrible object to carry around, and I was so envious of the little flute players too. Just like, oh, I'll just put it in my backpack. No worries, you guys.
Oh, it killed. Also, the fact too, there was multiple honor bands or whatever we would go to, where you would see these tuba players rolling theirs by.
Yeah, they
and
had
yours,
wheels.
You didn't have the luxury of
I
having
didn't have the
wheels.
luxury. No, we don't have that kind of technology where I come from. We don't have wheels on our tubas. Okay, I said boring to this task. I didn't think it was that exciting.
So much more potential, all wasted.
Yeah, we've seen this 12,000 times. I thought we were going to be seeing something more interesting than arbitrarily carrying music-related objects around Vienna.
Like, let me see someone conduct something. Let me see someone read sheet music.
Yes.
We would have killed at conducting.
That'd be fun. Or at least, like, something musical related, like music facts or something, trivia. I don't know. Like, memorize.
Or, like, listening to a piece of anything.
Yeah, I don't know. But I guess they're just not there yet in their task design. Tianadri and Monica and Cherie are forming a girl boss power alliance at this detour, and they are going to work together to do the double bass task. Kelly and John decide they're going to do the sheet music. And John has a good quote here. He says, quote, Kelly decides she's going to take the sheet music as if she was going to carry the bass anyway.
She's really taken the whole, like, be more involved.
Yeah.
Seriously. She's going to carry 2 pieces of sheet music. But this kind of ends up being a blunder for them because they start yelling over the map. Or is it? Yeah, it was them that they started yelling over the map and it becomes this whole thing.
Yeah, they are falling apart navigationally, just like we've seen them do last episode.
There's a good quote from Kelly because they're debating which one to do. And she's getting mad at John because he doesn't trust the directions they were given. And she goes, how many Beethovens in the world do you think there are? Mind you, as we said before, there are multiple houses that Beethoven lived in the city.
Yeah, so yeah, John suggests, he says, well, maybe there were a few places where he could have written his music. And Kelly just like pretty much laughs him off and calls him like a stupid idiot. And it's just like...
It's like, that could never have
so
happened.
incredulous that he would suggest such like a outlandish theory. But...
when in fact, that's the truth.
Yeah. She ends up eating her words here at the end of this task. Okay, Steve and Josh, they decide they're going to go for the fast forward.
Yes, and I loved this fast forward task. I loved it. It was more skill based, like physically skill based, but kind of intellectual as well. Like it wasn't physically demanding, and it was a great incorporation of the culture. For those of you who don't know, for some reason, the Viennese waltz, there's the I forget what it's called there, but there's like always the ballroom seasons where everyone's in their gowns and dancing. So it utilizes a Viennese waltz dance floor. And the task is you get dressed up like a butler or whatever, and you have to carry this tray of full champagne flutes through the dancers as they dance. Now, as much as I liked it, I also hope I hope they were using colored water or apple
I'm
juice.
sure.
I'm sure. That's a waste of champagne.
Yeah.
Because they do spill it a couple times.
They do spill it, which I liked, yeah. Steve immediately, when he attempts this, he just immediately drops the entire tray. And there's like the most dramatic, like glass shattering sound effects you've ever heard in your entire life. To this, mind you, these are probably like plastic cups.
Honestly, yeah, they're probably...
Yeah, I don't think
there's no way those are real.
I don't think one piece of glass was shattered in the making of this task. Yeah, I did like this task. I thought it was well done overall. I'm glad that we saw them fail at least once, because it would have been boring if they just did it with no problem.
That's what I was saying. It was a nice degree of difficulty where it was like it took them a couple tries, but they did get it.
Yeah, and they complete it, and Josh is elated and relieved.
And they have to go to the, forgive me, Seeschloss, Orth?
Yeah, Orth.
Seeschloss Orth.
It is
SeeSchlossOrth in Gmunden.
Yeah, it is a lake region of Austria. I just have this quote. I think it's Kelly and John, where they're just on public transit and they just kind of like say to nobody in particular, anyone know where Beethoven Memorial is? Just like out into like the public, just on the bus.
Out into the ether.
Yeah. But I think they do get help at last. Steve and Dave are in last, arriving to the route marker where the detour is, and they read the clue, They see that it's, I think 15 miles or something
Walking.
that they have to walk, and they double down chuckling to themselves.
They got a good sense
Yeah.
of humor. I'll give them that.
Yeah, they knew there was little hope for them. Our new girl boss alliance of Tianadri and Cherie and Monica arrive at the house and complete their detour first.
They also have a little moment where I forget which team it is, but it's so funny because they're carrying these massive double basses and they're almost there and they see another team kind of go by at the end of the alley with their double bass and they act like they haven't found the house. And the minute I forget who the other team was, the minute that other team is out of sight, they just dash into the house. Because they like basically they pretend they haven't found it. So the team sees them walking, is like, oh, they haven't found it, moves on. And then they just quickly dart into the house without the other team seeing.
Yeah, I think it was Millie and Chuck, perhaps. John and Al?
Maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, they're in the lead. Two teams that were at the back during the first kind of portion of this race. All right. I was just going to say Millie and Chuck and John and Al do also get it shortly after them.
And now we go to the roadblock at the Donautrum?
Yeah.
Which is a 1,150 foot spire, the tallest in Europe. And I'm thinking, as we walk, if this was you and I and we're walking up to it already, no, Andrew, this is you.
That, in addition to maybe the most on the nose and obvious prompt ever, which is, which of you doesn't mind hanging from their ankles? Oh, gee, I wonder what this could possibly be. Like, seriously.
Yeah, so...
They didn't even try and do, like, a little bait and switch. No, very blunt here. Okay, so we go to Kelly and John, who are struggling, and they find a fern. Quote, we found this cute little old lady who showed us where to go. And I think Kelly says, talking about the architecture, or I guess her city design of Vienna, says, I feel like I'm in Munchkin land.
That's just such an American comment to make. Like, I mean that in the nicest way possible.
It really is.
Because it's the most, like, demeaning but, like, innocently meant comment, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like it's like the inability to comprehend that, like, this is a real place where people live and, like, that people are from. And it's not just, like, some fantasy place. Okay, Monica decides to do this roadblock. She's nervous. She says that this is the one thing she didn't want to do, but she's doing it.
But also, Monica and Cherie, Tianadri, the minute they both ripped open those clues, both the teams are like, that's you, or it was like, that's me. They knew right away who was doing what. So I was surprised at a little bit of hesitation.
Well, yeah, for Tianadri, I don't know which one of them did it, but they are, quote-unquote, adrenaline junkies. So this was right up their alley. No problem at all for them.
I gotta say this again. I'm looking at these harnesses that they're on, and I'm thinking, that could snap if, like, a bird hit it, you know? I just don't trust.
You don't trust a bungee jump.
I don't trust. I'm a bit better about it if it's like, okay, there's a river underneath, there's water. It's like, if that thing snaps, you're not gonna die. It's like cold, hard ground and a, like, string piece of harness.
Yeah, but you know what? Monica was nervous, but she flails her way down through the Austrian sky to victory. And she's the first one to complete it, so good for her.
And she is also instructed to go to,
yes,
as we said before, C/Orth in Gmunden.
Riken does the bungee jump. Al does the bungee jump with impeccable form because he is the one who gets shot out of a cannon. So this
on a weekly basis.
On a weekly basis. So this is right up his alley as well. We go to Millie, and her asthma is kicking in.
And she doesn't have her inhaler.
Yeah, she can't breathe.
Again, freaks me out. Freaks me out watching it. I feel it in my chest when I watch this.
Yeah, but once again, she prevails, and she does it anyway. Okay, so Riken and Chip narrowly make it on the same train as Tianadri, Monica, and Cherie, so they're kind of the front pack here.
We see Steve and Josh check in around this point.
Yeah, and they are in first place. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
And the pit stop music is so intense. I don't know if you noticed that. It's so intense.
I didn't notice it this episode.
It was just intense. I have no other word to describe it.
So Cindy and Russell and Dave and Jeff, there's some minor drama between them with pulling the number for the roadblock. I don't really remember what that entailed.
No, it was over in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, okay. John does this from Kelly and John.
Even though she wanted to be more involved.
I have a quote here. I was freaking out. He can't do anything normal. And John does a backflip when he gets released from the bungee. Russell and Cindy, we go to them. They say they're not going to cut corners and they're not going to be cutthroat. They're here to be genuine and play with integrity.
We'll see how that turns out for you.
Yeah. Millie and Chuck are afraid that other teams could have taken a faster route than them because they're the only ones on their train to the pit stop. They don't see anybody else.
And now, I think we need to get to this now. So, as we said multiple times, C/Orth is in Gmunden. That's Gmunden. But Kelly and John, as they're trying to book this train, encounter an error. Because they're at the North Vienna train station, because there's a couple, and it seems like teams to get to Gmunden need to go to the West train station. Is that it?
Perhaps. I'm not sure. But Cindy and Russell, they get screwed a little bit by their ticket agent.
Cindy and Russell, sorry. I said Kelly and John, my bad.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is Cindy and Russell. They get screwed by their ticket agent who tells them to go to Gmund as opposed to Gmunden.
2 different towns.
And they say, okay. So they're ready to do this.
So they fully booked the ticket.
And they're going about their business. We go back over to Steve and Dave, who they went from, quote, first to worst. At this point, the way that this was edited, like, they were already giving their elimination, like, retrospectives. They were already, like, reflecting upon the race.
I thought this was it.
Yeah, I thought this was it. They were, like, doing it as if they were already, like, starting their elimination at this point. But you know what? It was not it. The person who, I don't know who was Steve and Dave who did the roadblock, but the person who didn't do the roadblock said, quote, they told Green P not to throw whales off the tower, referring to his partner.
Good humor.
So, Monica and Cherie.
They're back up there.
Second place. Salad moment. Yeah. And they started this leg in last. And they finished this in first, if it weren't for the fast forward.
Exactly. So you know what? Good for, I'm liking them more as a team, and I'm seeing more potential in them.
Yeah. Reichen and Chip are in third. Tian and Juri are in fourth. Okay, and you know what? They're killing it, considering the fact that I didn't think that they would survive leg 2. You know what I mean? And they've been in the top these past 2 legs.
Sure.
Okay, Millie and Chuck in 5th. John and Al 6th. David and Jeff 7th. Kelly and John in 8th. Who they were kind of shocked by this because they said, quote, that's good. We thought we were 9. Because Cindy and Russell should have finished before them. So we go back to Steve and Dave, who they get off on the wrong station.
They go to the North Vienna station, whatever it is, but they don't book the ticket. They ask about Gmunden, and the agent says, no, train is to Gmund. You need to go to the West Vienna station. There's trains to Gmunden from there. So they are able to kind of skirt around booking a ticket before it's too late. That being said, Russell and Cindy don't actually get on their train to Gmund.
No. And we see, or editing makes it seem that shortly after Steve and Dave realize this, Cindy and Russell also realize their mistake. And they do it like in a very dramatic editing fashion. It's like, oh, this ticket says to Gmund, like in a highlighted, like colored text. And on the clue, it says Gmunden. So, you know what? They really got their money's worth from their colored text budget, however much that might have cost them to color in that text. I don't know. All right. Steve and Dave do beat out Cindy and Russell here. And
they didn't think so, though.
9th. They
were ready for Phil to tell them to go home.
So, yeah, they pull up to the pit stop, and they burst out laughing because they think they're eliminated. They think there's no chance before Phil could even tell them what place they were. And they're fine. They're not eliminated.
They live to see another day?
Yeah. And I was actually shocked. Really, really, really so. I thought they had 0 chance at all from the beginning of this episode when they went to the wrong station. And then just from the back for the rest. There's
really been a theme of teams who have been directly at the front ending up directly at the back. Like, not even just like, being bumped down a couple spots.
Yes.
It's this dramatic flip-flop of teams on either extreme. You almost this season want to stay somewhere in the middle. Like, kind of like a million check thing. Because they've really not gone too far either way.
Yeah, I agree. That is kind of crazy.
But with that, Cindy and Russell
are eliminated. And you know what? It wasn't even really that exciting of an elimination. Because, like, You'd think it would be a little bit more shocking or like OMG moment, but it wasn't. It felt very low-key.
I still didn't feel I knew them enough as a team. I didn't feel connected to them. There was no impact where I was like, oh, I'm sad to see them go. Like, I really enjoyed their dynamic. It was just like, okay.
Yeah. And I think it was probably best for the relationship that they were eliminated, because I don't think they enjoyed this race at all. Like, they seemed to be miserable the whole time.
They don't seem too gutted to be going home.
No. But yeah, that's it for Russell and Cindy. They say, quote, those couple of days were detrimental to their relationship. So, you know what? We'll see about the deep dive.
We'll see what comes up.
So that's that episode, season 4, episode 3. Some good moments, a lot of flip-flopping, salad toss, and next week, still in Europe for the 4th episode in a row.
They really love Central Europe this season.
Yeah. It's really crazy, like how much they're really in their Europe bag this episode.
You know what, though? It felt like it was nice for me to watch this, though, because I should add, Andrew and I watched this together on separate laptops, but sitting side by side on a train, on a 5-hour train ride, and I felt very connected to them. Like the culture and the train and everything. Right. That was nice.
Yeah, it was very, very Europe. Amazing race to be on a train.
Exactly.
Yeah, still in Europe, it seems. Tian and Jury break down. Tian and Jury have a showdown in Marseille. It seems, yeah. And Chuck has a panic attack, is what I wrote down.
If we can call it that.
Is what they made it seem as if was happening.
I've watched the episode and I'm not gonna, whatever. If you have any behind the scenes info about the show you want to send to us, or if you just want to talk to us in general, please send us an email, amazingracerewind@gmail.com. Like I said, we also have started a Buy Us a Coffee page, which we will be posting. If you follow us on there, we will use it to send post notifications when there's new episodes dropped. So yeah, be sure to give us a follow on there. And rate us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
The whole 9 yards. And that's all for us. And we'll see you for episode 4 in France.
In France.
Okay, bye.
Bye.